let's just jump into it, Scott. New York also home to the Ryder Cup this past weekend. What's your opinion of the golf? Let's start with the golf first up, Scott, on that.
Europe was amazing. They're better at this than the United States, and they've demonstrated that for this entire century, if you will. There's a sincere fondness for one another. There's a something about it matters to them in a way that it just, I don't think does on the same level for the United States. And that's not a knock against the United States. It's a compliment to Europe. Their very best players play great. Rory's amazing. John Rahm, and then they've got guys like Fleetwood, who until Justin Thomas took him down, like feel unbeatable. And they knew what they were walking into, Rich. But I mean, look, I've been to Bethpage. I've seen it. There's great things about it. But this weekend was ridiculous. It was ridiculous behavior. There's no call for that ever. And you could turn around and go, oh, they did that in Italy. No, they didn't. People followed Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry around for 5 hours, and it was personal, and it was ridiculous. Rory called it unacceptable. He's right. But then, maybe not surprisingly, because the Americans are incredible individually, here comes the Stars and Stripes on Sunday. And you heard Luke Donald say, like, those are some of the toughest hours of my life. They could feel it slipping away. And it very nearly did. If Henley's putt on 18 goes, I think it's very possible the American side would have pulled off the comeback, because then the pressure would have been so immense on the European side. I don't know if they could have stood up to it. Whoa. But they were a proper and deserving champion in the end. I love Bethpage. I love what it is. I love the passion of American sports fans. But there's a big difference between cheering your guys on and showing up to talk a bunch of crap to people that's personal and was over the top.
Yeah, and also throw projectiles and also heap abuse on loved ones. Like, not even the participants, not even the competitors, Scott. You know,
that's totally beyond the pale. That's just you can heckle people, you could root for your people, and there's some heckling. It happens. But this weekend, you know, hopefully it's a bit of a point where people say, you know what, we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
And then in terms of the golf as well, can you give voice to what a captain can actually affect? You know, because one of my favorite sound bites came from Xander Schauffele as Keegan Bradley was being asked about whether he got out captained, and Schauffele interrupts his answer by saying, yeah, he should have told us to make more putts. You know what I mean? Like, and I found that refreshing from Schauffele, as well as supportive of his captain. But what can a captain do, Scott?
Well, if they could do it, then I guess all of the 9 of the 12 that lost it for America would have been able to do better jobs. I think there's course setup is part of it, and Keegan owned that. He said, you know, there's things we do differently, probably have the rough be taller. We didn't know it was going to rain. We didn't know the greens would be this soft. But ultimately, Europe made a mile of putts when they mattered. And the thing that I think people miss is, the United States played like crap. Not really. Scotty and Bryson played together and were 9 under through 15 holes, I believe it was, and didn't get to play 16 because the other side was that much better. The Europeans put on an outrageous putting display. Outrageous. And so, you know, I think, and this gets a little in the weeds, but there's something called Data Golf, which does a great job of analyzing analytics. And they said this Morikawa English pairing was the 132nd out of 132. But that's measuring analytics, which doesn't measure what it feels like. And nothing feels like the Ryder Cup. Nothing. And so there are human beings that are involved here. And they felt like there was something with Morikawa in English, and it didn't translate. So you can blame Keegan, I guess. But ultimately, Xander's right. If they make more putts, then that's not the conversation we're having. So I think the captaincy, Luke Donald deserves a massive amount of credit for being as meticulous as he has been and creating an environment where the Europeans feel so invested in one another. All credit to him for that. I don't think you can blame Keegan for not having his guys make every single putt they looked at. But he owned the part that he could have done better, and I'm good on him for that. I'm just bummed because he's a great dude, and you invest a lot, and then you get boat raced for 2 days, and everyone thinks you've done a lousy job.
Do you think part of him sits here and thinks he should have let him? He should have named himself, Scott, like in a quiet moment, heart of hearts, or are we past that? What do you think?
That's the part that sucks the worst. He should have been on the team 2 years ago, and he was overlooked. I think he's the captain this time around because of that. And then he didn't want to choose himself because he didn't want to not pick someone that was deserving because he knows what that feels like. And so that's the real cruelty, if you want to say it that way, about Keegan's situation. He should have been on the team. They'd have been a better team if they had him.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.